with data, how can
Or
we help you
okay.
make data informed decisions to do more with less? That's kind of the core problem that I'm lit up by and that I'm solving here at Geotab. And what I wanted to underscore here is that what I'm showing you today is an asset utilization tool that I've been working on for the past year and that I'll continue to work on. And this is going to be much less a training on like what asset utilization within Geotab looks like, as it is going to be a conversation because I will tell you this is not complete. I don't think anything I ever do is complete because we're always iterating and improving on our products. But our asset utilization solution in particular is right now in a beta phase, and so it is explicitly labeled incomplete. Like I know that we're not. I know that we have plans in the next 6 months to continue and to iterate and improve on this. And what I'm hoping this conversation will surface is, to pique your interest. Maybe you want to do some beta testing with us. Maybe you want to offer us some feedback. Maybe you want to be kind of like one of our first trailblazing fleets to make use of some of these new utilization data elements that we're putting out there and new ways of interacting with utilization data. So, kind of in keeping with this idea of um, this idea of this is not me training you; it's us involved in a conversation. Let's start by you telling me some things. So, the first question I want to ask all of you is, why would you, in your job at your fleet, want to measure asset utilization? So I'm gonna launch this poll and maybe select the option that you think most calls to you. Like, this is the primary reason that I would want to interact with utilization data to find out how much my assets have been used in recent history. And if you have like spicy comments, you can throw those in the chat too, because this is a time that for us to have a conversation with each other. I'm gonna give it just a few more seconds. It looks like right sizing the fleet is running away with the lion's share of votes here, along with kind of plan for retirement and planning for procurement, which are obviously related to right sizing the fleet because if you're going to defleet some vehicles, you're going to decrease your number. If you're going to procure some vehicles, you're going to increase your number, and you want to land on the right number. So I think that what I'm getting from this audience is that uh, that's our primary use case, and I think that that's Keith is saying all of the above. It's for sure there's a role for utilization data and all of the above. I just want to get a feel for who I'm talking to and um, what type of jobs they're looking to do with their utilization data. And then my next question is where do you want to see that data? Um, because we want to surface the data to you in a place where it makes sense for you to interact with it. So I'm going to launch this poll, and if there's another place that we're not listing here, you can just type that in the chat and let us know, like, oh, this is where I actually need to see the data for how much my assets have been used recently. It won't hurt my feelings if you tell me I'm not going to look at it in my Geotab, the Geotab user interface. If there's another interface, another way, another reporting system that you need to have supported and you need utilization data fed into, then I think that that's a really interesting thing for us to be aware of too, and for us to kind of like understand when we're thinking about who's in the room today and what they need to see.
I think we need to launch the other poll.
It's
Oh,
I'm
did I launch?
seeing I'm seeing some
All right.
responses come in for poll number two.
Oh, I closed it. My fault.
And I'm seeing a lot
I
of
see.
spreadsheets and FMIS as answers here. BI tool should have been on the list for sure. If you're kind of streaming your utilization data to like a Power BI or a Tableau or like a Looker, um, another BI tool that is going to help you to look at all of your business intelligence. So what I'm getting from this group is a lot of you are taking your utilization data into a spreadsheet to kind of slice and dice it and do your analysis. A lot of you need it fed into your FMIS system to kind of see alongside all of your other um, kind of asset lifecycle information. So I'm going to end that poll, and I am going to quickly run through a demonstration of a new asset utilization solution that we're working on that exists within the My Geotab software. And nobody selected My Geotab as the place where they want to see where they want to see their utilization data. That's okay. I think what you can imagine in your mind is there will be a spreadsheet download button that will take all of this information into a spreadsheet if you need it into a spreadsheet. So you're going to be emailed as a report. And all of the information you see here, assume that it will be available in Data Connector to stream to your BI tool as well, or to be or via API to be pulled into your FMIS. So the data is the same data, is regardless of where you're viewing it, is what I want you to keep in mind. But I am going to show you the My Geotab version of that, because we've spent some time working on this user interface lately to kind of like help people look at it within My Geotab. Again, if you want to look at it in a spreadsheet or a BI tool, that's fine. We're going to make sure the data is consistent regardless of where you view it. So if I go to our asset utilization tool, which again is in beta right now, I've selected Toronto Depot as the group that I want to view. It's a group that I've assembled with a bunch of vehicles that I know near us. And you see this trend chart at the top. So we've got three main metrics that we're delivering at the moment as your utilization summary. How much distance was traveled for the time frame selected, which was last month, how many hours were used per asset for the time frame selected, and how many days were used per asset. So these are averages per asset. So at my Toronto Depot, it's like almost 1,000 kilometers per month, almost 26 hours per month per asset, and 19 days per month per asset for the month of December. If I wanted to see like all of last year, I could easily go select all of last year, or select any custom time frame that I'm looking at. And you can kind of see like where your trends have changed month over month, or day over day, to see like where you know are your trends in utilization going down or up per asset. And then we did this on a per asset basis on purpose, because if you're growing your fleet, let's say you double the size of your fleet halfway through the year, really the productivity of your fleet isn't going to increase or decrease just because you added new assets. It's the per asset productivity that we think is really the trend to pay attention to. How much you're getting per asset. So we've normalized everything per asset. Down below, you can see the asset by asset view of that, which is sortable. So if I want to see, which asset was driven the least, there's this one, wasn't used at all last year. And the reason's not too hard to tell. It's got this little icon there that says there's no longer an active Geotab rate plan. That's an archived device. So that archived device wasn't used at all last year. Most driven, this one was driven almost 40,000 kilometers last year, and was used on 336 days out of last year. So that's a pretty highly utilized asset. And I can look at that through different dimensions. So hours used, it's the same asset, has the most number of days used and distance, but we can look at them through whichever lens you want for how you define utilization in your fleet. And if there's a threshold that is like a troubling level, like let's see, the ones that drove less than 10,000 clicks last year, maybe those are ones I want to investigate some more and see what's up with them in terms of their utilization pattern. So let's just pick on this VW Golf that was only used 115 days last year. Well, maybe I want to drill down on that one. How is it doing? Which days was like, oh, look, it wasn't used at all from February until August, and then it started being used again. So like now I have some bit of information on what's going on with that asset, and I can help think through what do I want to do with that asset in the future. So that's the very like basic level of information that we're providing in our asset utilization tool. And again, this is going to be expanded and improved in the future. It's in a beta phase right now, and I know that there are things missing. So maybe just by way of helping move along our dialogue here, um, what things do you think are missing from what I just showed? What what things would help you do your job, especially if your job is primarily a right sizing job, as you were saying before? What things do you think you really need to help do that job that I didn't show? And if there's like one that you really feel strongly about, why don't you type that into the chat? And then maybe even uh yeah, let's give ourselves a few seconds to type the thing into the chat that you really feel strongly is a missing data element. Does anyone have one of those? Yeah, nobody wants to speak up. That's all right. Um, Replacement cost. That's an interesting one, especially if you're doing a life cycle planning. I'm procuring, I'm retiring. Let's say I'm retiring a combustion vehicle, and I need to buy an EV for next year. Thinking about the procurement cost, but maybe also the resale value, and like what does that mean to me, to my fleet in terms of dollars and cents? It's a good suggestion, Keith. Okay, does anybody else want to be opinionated here? Because I love opinions. All right. So just moving through this, we're rolling out new tools. And again, I showed you the My Geotab version. There will be that same data exporting to spreadsheet and you know and through Geotab data connector to BI tools. So what we're doing right now is granting early access to a handful of beta testers because we know it's incomplete and we know that we want to gather feedback for how to make it, how to improve it to do your job better. So right now we're granting early access to a handful of beta testers. If you want to be one of our beta testers, I will share a link to that form. I'm going to just put it in the chat right now before I forget. Oh, goodness. Shame on me for not having that copied and pasted ready to go. Okay, so if you want to be one of our beta testers, you can click on that link and you can sign yourself up. Throughout the spring, we're going to be conducting feedback interviews with our beta testers to understand how we can improve the tool to make their life easier and better, and to help them do the jobs they need to do with their utilization data and to do more with less. And then in June, we're planning for a general availability release, so our new asset utilization tools can be available to the general public. What are we trying to do with our beta phase? We want to really deeply understand what you're trying to accomplish with your utilization data, how you want to interact with it, grouping, filtering, sorting, etc. What sort of ways to slice and dice it do we need to support? What friction points exist? How can we make your life easier? And what is missing? Are there data elements that you really need that we're not showing yet? So those are the things we really want to learn from beta. And if you want to help us learn those, click the link and help us learn those. There's a QR code if you prefer to use that form. And that is what I wanted to share with you all today, is that this is a very important problem space for Geotab. We're investing a lot in it, and you can come along for the ride if you want to come along for the ride. Are there any questions before I pass back?
I have a question, Kevin, and maybe I'm speaking on behalf of the fleet managers I speak with and those in operations. Um, so we do the EVSA or electric vehicle suitability assessment. So assessing, how the driving behavior of these vehicles and where, what would be a good replacement for a vehicle, whether it's all your light duty vehicles or just one vehicle that is at, let's say, 80,000 miles and you need to replace. What makes sense? Is it an ICE vehicle or is it an electric vehicle or a hybrid vehicle? And our tool that's included with Geotab is in the database. One question I have is, would it make sense for fleet managers to say, hey, we know your driving behavior, we know where all these vehicles are being driven, we know your most underutilized, we know your most overutilized vehicles. If we can make an assessment to say, hey, this heavily utilized vehicle should move to this location because there's a lot of vehicles there underutilized, and move that underutilized vehicle to this location. So we make an assessment based on utilization metrics where vehicles should be maybe relocated so that you're not putting too much wear and tear on a vehicle over a year. And we make a recommendation, not to say you have to do this, but we recommend it. Is that something, I guess, first from the people on the call, the fleet managers, that's something that would be beneficial, or do you have so many algorithms or so many thought processes that go through replacing a vehicle or moving a vehicle that it might be more challenging? And if so, is that something our product team would find beneficial for our customers? So more to
I think
the
it's yeah, I
yeah,
think it's a question for the customers more than
yeah,
it's a question for me, actually. Just like if you're a fleet manager on this call, if you're involved in you know life cycle planning and procurement for your fleet, are you looking for Geotab to make recommendations? Are you looking for your software to make recommendations? Or are you looking for us to give you rock solid data in exactly the format you want to see it so that you can use your brain to make the recommendations? I think that's maybe that's another poll that we could throw up there if somebody wants to unmute and give us their opinion. But that's honestly part of what I'm trying to pay attention to, and why I'm trying to talk to as many customers as possible, is because I don't want to be obnoxious surfacing a lot of recommendations that may or may not make sense for your context. And I really want to make sure that I'm understanding what everybody's context is, and what type of recommendations they really desire.
So, Kevin, you're asking for folks to unmute and give you some feedback right now, if possible. Is that correct?
I mean, Drake
If no
asked me a
one else
question
wants
that
to
was
say
is
anything,
probably better for them. So if somebody does have an opinion, it is.
yeah, my opinion as a retired fleet manager, it really depends on the organization's regulatory authority. In both of my jobs as a fleet manager, it was always a collaborative approach with the customer department. So it would be good if you could do that. It would be very valuable on a fleet-wide basis, but also on a customer department or even a division or even a unit basis, because it depends on, in some cases, departments have a certain base budget for their fleet operations. And if the policy could be tweaked, I guess would be the word, that customers can save money and get credit for it, especially when you're looking at the incremental cost of electric vehicles, because, maybe there's a way to turn in two or three older ICE vehicles to get them out of the system, and then that frees up enough money as far as total cost of ownership forecasts for the actual EV replacement that'll work for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Um, and I think that a lot of what that comes back to the remark about, can we translate this to dollars saved, and can we help you navigate toward dollars saved? I think there is something in Drake's comment that is already in development on our side, which is um, viewing by groups. And so, like, instead of having a table filled with uh, an asset by asset utilization tally, it's just like, okay, we're going to tell you your you know this division has utilization of an average per asset utilization of like 300 days per year, or 10,000 miles per year, and this division has a different average utilization. And like, maybe because they're utilizing their vehicles less, there's if we view them groups by group next to each other, it may help you kind of like envision those types of or imagine those types of moves more clearly. So I think that, like, we're going to start with reporting by individual asset and by individual group, and make sure that the information is there, and the information is accurate, and the information is easy to understand. And then we can explore this idea of proactive recommendations and kind of intelligent
The
recommendations down the
other
road.
just quick comment, if there was a way to have a designation for each asset that either it's clearly a candidate right now for ZEV replacement with a limited range and a special body type, or it's not. So that way you're not doing comparisons, trying to figure out what's going to work in California to meet your ZEV requirements with the limited money that you're going to get out of your organization.
Thanks for that, Keith. Okay. It's kind of last call for anything that I can help with. It's been a pleasure to be with you all today, and I hope to interact with some of you more as we iterate and improve on our utilization solutions.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. And just to reiterate, there's a lot of people that I'm sure would that are Geotab customers that are not on this call today that would like to share their feedback. So if you know of anybody else that's not on this call, please share this link. I know utilization is and right sizing is really important for most, if not all, fleet managers that I work with. So getting the the feedback from the market is I think super important for all of you and for our product team to make sure we're getting those voices, hearing that from the field, right? That's super important for our success.